All right, my beautiful people, thank you so much for being here. We're just going to get our party started. We're going to get it started. And so, anybody here, show of hands, you can just raise your electronic hands or put in the chat. Anybody here remember your first day at work? No, not just your first day of work, but the first day of your dream job. Right? That first day of the dream job, like this is the job that's just it's gonna make it all worthwhile. Well, let me tell you, I remember the first day of my job, my dream job. I had just been hired as a trainer for a national training company. Like, this is it. I am so excited, right? This is going to be the start of everything. And yet, it was a complete disaster. It was terrible. I mean, the audience hated me. Do you hear me? They hated me, and they made it clear. They did not see me as an expert. They did not defer to me. They challenged everything I said, and they peppered me with questions, Renee. And when I tried to bluff my way out of it, they threw Google in my face. You want to talk about humiliation? I was humiliated. These people left that meeting room angry and demanding refunds. It's my first day, people, and they're demanding refunds. Can you believe it? I was mortified. Oh my goodness. And I remember just sitting in that room when the last person left. And that was it. I couldn't hold it back. I just started crying. I just started crying because this was my dream job. And I just knew that my speaking career was going to be over before it even got a chance to lift off. But here's what I also knew, David. What I also knew is that it was totally and completely my fault. It was my fault. See, because I didn't prepare, because I didn't practice, and because of that, I could not perform. See, a little bit about me. I thought I had it in the bag. I mean, I was 10 years an actress on stage, on screen, did commercials, movies. Come on, I'm thinking I got this. Plus, I trained with world-renowned motivational speaker Les Brown. I ran his speaker training program. I traveled internationally with him. I got this. And I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for a litigation attorney for over 10 years, right? So I know this topic backwards and forwards. I got this. But in reality, without preparing, without practicing, and without performing, I didn't got this. I didn't have it, Olive. I didn't have it. And what I'm realizing at that time, what I realized, it doesn't matter what stages you've been on. It doesn't matter who trained you. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. The only thing that matters is what you did to prepare for this moment right here. And because I didn't prepare, I failed. But you ever have a moment in your life where you do something really stupid, just really stupid, but you say to yourself, this will never happen again? If you know what I'm talking about, put a me in the chat. If you have been there, just put a me in the chat where you're like, okay, all right, I'm going to give that one to you. But this will never happen again. And that's where I was, Denise. Thank you, Albina. Thank you, Simone. That is where I was. This was never going to happen again. And so I did everything I could to learn how to give captivating presentations that convert. I read books. I listened to audio tapes. I went to seminars. I got coaching, and I learned how to give presentations. Not only that, I learned how to sell at those presentations. So at the end of the first year, I end up rising to the top 20 in that organization. Okay, So remember, when we started out, there's 300 trainers, and I am number like 298. But actually, the last 10 of us were all at the bottom. All right, so I was at the bottom. At the end of that first year, I was in the top 20. By the time I left that organization, I was number one in sales and in presentations. Can I just say, I learned my lesson, Elise. Thank you for the love. Lynette, I learned my lesson. And so what I want to share with you are some of the goodies that I learned from this horrible and terrible mistake that I made. And so that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about how to create captivating presentations that convert. And though over those years, it's been like 18 years at this point, I have learned a lot. And I can't share all of it with you today. Not even going to try, but I can give you 3 steps. Is that okay? Can I give you 3 steps? Is that okay? Just say yes, Star. That's okay. Say that's okay, Star. 3 steps will do for now. 3 steps will do for now. Hey, Teresa, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, so I'm just going to give you 3 steps for more confidence, which will get you more clients. All right, so why does any of this matter? Why does it make a difference? Why do you need to give captivating presentations? Why? Because here's why. I'm going to tell you why. Because speaking with impact directly affects your ability to sell, to serve, and to succeed. Your ability to speak with impact makes a difference, right? Because I could speak when I got there on my first day, I could speak. I'd learned how to speak, but could I speak with impact? And the answer was no, I could not, because I hadn't gotten it together. And so what do you need? What do you need? Adrian, thank you. What do you need to speak with impact? Do y'all know what you need? I'm going to tell you. Actually, put in the chat. What do you think you need to speak with impact? Put in the chat for me. I want to see what you guys think. I want to see what you think. What does it take? Right? Passion. I love that, Donna. Yes, passion. It takes knowledge. That's right. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to be given some value. Very good. It takes guts, Elise says. Yes, it does take some guts. It does take some guts. It takes a story. It takes confidence. I love all of that. And you guys are absolutely right. And additionally, what it takes is clarity, confidence, and engagement, right? Everything you said is right. But for our purposes today, this is where I want to focus. Clarity, confidence, and engagements. Because here's the deal. If you don't have clarity, if your message isn't clear, the people aren't going to connect. They're not going to care. You've been in situations where this person is talking and you're trying really, really hard to follow, and you don't follow. What do? Check out. Can't care. And then there is the confidence. You have to show up with a level of confidence. If you don't, your credibility will take a hit. People can't have confidence in you, Simone, if you don't have confidence in you. It just doesn't work. So you've got to be able to work up there. You've got to be able to walk up there or sit up there, as the case may be, with confidence. And then the other thing you need is engagement, right? We all remember what it felt like to be lectured to. Anybody? Anybody? How many times have I told you to empty the dishwasher, blah, 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 right? And you just sit there and you just go, oh my God, can she stop talking? Can she just hit me or punish me? Could she just leave me? All right, anyway. And so we don't want to talk at our audiences. We want engagement, right? Because if your delivery isn't engaging, well, then your offer won't land, because people will be what? Disconnected. So those are the things you need to speak. And when you have these things, when your presentations are captivating, people pay attention. Your message sticks, right? You're seen as a trusted expert, and you got clients that are saying, where do I sign up? Where anybody want that next time you do a presentation? You want people to go, do you have a link or something? Is there a card? How can I That's what you want. Where do I sign up? So I'm going to jump into it, but here's what I need to know. I need to know what kind of speaking you do. Frida, Denise, Maria, I need to know what kind of speaking you do. Meaning, are you doing webinars? Are you doing sales presentations? Maybe you're doing client trainings. Maybe you're doing workshop, master classes, or maybe you're like, I haven't started yet because the very thought of it makes me want to toss my cookies. I don't know. Renee says, all of the above. I'm going to do all of those, and I haven't started yet. I got you. We got training in there. We got Kadeen is doing workshops and webinars. Elise, client trainings, presentations. Teresa hasn't started yet, and that's okay. Voiceovers, I love that, Jolie. So we got 1 and 3, we got 7 and 9, we got 13. And okay, so all of the above, I love it. I love it. So that gives me, we got a broad range here. We got a broad range here. Some people have probably been doing it for a while, and some people are like, I'm going to do it in a minute. Excellent. The perfect people to be here. All right, so let's jump into it. So Mama always said, Mama always said, you don't go to anybody's house without bringing a gift. Anybody learn that as a child? You're going to go to somebody's house, you bring a gift. Well, hey, people, I'm in your house today. I'm in your house, so I brought you a gift, right? And it's going to be basically a one sheet that covers what we're talking about today. It's going to be a one sheet that covers the things that I am talking about today. And I'm giving it to you now because I know some people are on your lunch and you might have to skedaddle. I want to make sure you get an opportunity for that. And Dadrian, if you could put the link in the chat, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Excellent. So that's available to you because I know some of you might have to skedaddle. All right. So let's talk about it. 3 steps to more confidence and more clients. And you might remember I said this in my story. The things that I didn't do, I didn't prepare. I didn't practice, and I couldn't perform. So the 3 steps that you need for more confidence and to get more clients, it's just very convenient, right? To prepare, to practice, and perform. That's what we need to do. Are there other steps? Absolutely. I have a program where I take people through all the steps in a 6-month program. But for today, we're doing this. We're doing the 3 things right here: prepare, practice, perform. All right. When we talk about preparing, right, there's some things that you need to know. The first thing you need to know is, what are you doing here? Begin with the end in mind. I have so many people that I work with, they just jump up because I want to share this thing. To what end, right? We have a lot of people say, I have a story and I want to share it. To what end? Just sharing your story. Why, right? My mentor used to say, nobody cares about your story. They're just glad it didn't happen to them. But anyway, what is it that you want to do? Are you trying to sell them something? Do you want to get them on your email list? Are you trying to inform them? But we'll talk about that. But what is the end result that you want? You need to know that, because I don't know if anyone here has done it, done a presentation, given your heart and your soul in that presentation. And at the end you go, man, I should have asked them to sign up on my email list. Man, I should have sold my book, right? After the fact. Anybody get that after the fact? Oh man, what a great opportunity to do this thing. Anybody? Is it just me? All right, it's just me. The objective, Corrine says, and that's exactly right. That's exactly right. What is it that you want, right? All right, now once we figure that out, we want to create your map and you're going to craft your presentation. Now, create your map. What does that mean? Well, if you have someplace to go, sometimes it's helpful if you have a map to help you get there, right? To make sure you're going there, right? And if I hear you, Korean's like, I should have asked for a recommendation. Yes, we got to think about that ahead of time. So you need a map to get to your destination. And if you are speaking, that means you are taking your audience on a journey with you. You don't want to take your audience on a journey and halfway there you're going, where are we going? Oh, I don't know. You know what? Let's make a U-turn and let's go. You don't want that. You need to know where you're going. So you need a map so that you can take your audience very smoothly to that destination. What does MAP stand for? It stands for your message, your audience, and your purpose, right? Your message, your audience, and your purpose. You need to know your message. You need to know your audience. You need to know your purpose. You need to know these things before you even put your presentation together. You need to know these things. And I like to start with the audience. Who you talking to? Who are you talking to? Who is your audience? Why is this necessary? Can I just talk? My audience is everybody. I'm sure it is. But anybody here talk to your 5-year-old the same way you talk to your boss, if you had one, if you have one? Anybody do that? Anybody talk to your best friend the way you talk to your child? Probably not, right? Right. You talk to your mentor the same way you talk to the lady at Target. You know, I'm not saying you're not going to be nice, but you talk to people differently based on where they are, right? I've done trainings all over this country, right? And I've done trainings to engineers. I've done trainings to executives. I've done trainings to frontline employees. I've done trainings for doctors. As you just say, they are a group among themselves. But anyway, I speak a little differently to each audience, right? Because if I'm speaking to frontline employees, I might make jokes about management. I might, but if I'm speaking to management, I'm going to do it differently. Does that make sense? I'm just going to speak to the audience who's in front of me. So in order to prepare a message for that audience, you got to know what? You got to know who they are. Got to know who they are. And the next thing is, what do they need? What does the audience need? People don't do this. People are all about, a lot of people, no one here, of course, but a lot of people are like, here's what I want to say, and I'm going to say it. Well, is that what your audience needs to hear? My mentor used to say all the time, don't confuse what you want to say with what your audience needs to hear. Don't confuse what you want to say with what your audience needs to hear. That's right, Karine, because it's not about you. The message is about the audience. So what does the audience need to hear? What is going to make them move in the direction you need them to move? You got to be aware of that. So those are the questions about your audience that you want to ask. And then you got to know your message. You know who your audience is. You know what they need to hear. The next thing is, what's the message? What is the message that you are leaving your audience with? And here's a clue, Ray. Here's a clue, Carl, Donna. The clue is your message is not about you. I'm just saying, it's not about you. A lot of times I work with people and I want to say, so what's your message? Hire me. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not your message, right? That's not your message. I'm the coach for you. I can help you. Not the message, right? That might be your purpose, but that's not the message. And then it goes the other way. I say, what is your message? And people say, hope. My message is hope. My message is resilience. Here's a clue, people. Hey, Frida, hope is not a message. It's not a message. You can have a message of hope, but hope is not a message. Hope is a theme. Resilience is a theme, right? If you're saying, if hope is your theme, you may have a message that says, no matter where you are right now, you got to keep moving forward and you will get to the other side. See, that's a whole message. That's a whole message. What is the theme of that message? Hope. Hope is the theme of the message. Okay. So you got to know, yes, what do they need? What do they need my help with? Right. And we've got to let them know that whatever they need is possible. We're not saying with me. Well, that's what we're saying on the subtext, but on the top, we're not saying it's possible with me, but what we are saying is what you want, what you need is possible. And then later on, I'm going to be the obvious choice for what's possible. All right. So what is your message? What do you want them to walk away thinking? So here's what I need you to do. If you are in a place where you can, I'd like you to think for a moment, what is your message? I want you to think about what your message is. Like, and you're saying, well, I haven't spoken anywhere yet. Well, if you were going to speak, what would that message be? Or perhaps you have been speaking. Last speaking thing that you did, what was the message? Was it clear? Because remember, we talked before, if your message isn't clear, your audience doesn't know what the heck is going on, and they're going to disconnect. So what is your message? I'm going to stop talking for a full minute. if that's possible. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap that up. And Frida, you're absolutely right. The message will be tailored to the problem you're solving. It's my timer. Your message is going to be tied to that. So my question for you, Frida, the last time you did something, what was the message? So if you have a message, if you figured it out, put it in the chat for me. I see Mark said you need to own your retirement plan. Excellent. I love that. I would take that message a little bit further. You need to own your retirement plan if you want to have the retirement that you want and not that someone else designs for you. You know, I might give a little pain in there. Because why? Why do I need to own my retirement plan? Because if you don't, you're going to be working until you're 87 or whatever. So I would just take that a little bit more. Someone else, put your message in the chat for me. Let's hear what you got. Let's hear what you got. No problem. No problem. When it comes to online branding, learn what works, love how you shop up, lead like the boss you are. Like it. I like it. Got it. Yeah. It is definitely about what you're offering. Right. Ooh, AI is not for the others you know, but also for you. I like it. I like it. Exactly. So that is where your message is. And all of you are saying, it depends on what I'm offering. Remember, that's what we started with. That's why we started with start with the end in mind. Because yes, what are you offering? And what does your audience need to hear based on what you're offering? And then we put it together. Oh man, Lynette, you don't know what you don't know when you get hit by cyber hackers. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? You got to prepare yourself because it's not about if, it's about when. Excellent. So great job. And so, Kadeen, yes, change is inevitable. I would need a little bit more. Yes, change is inevitable. How does that impact me? Change is inevitable, but I could just go on about my business, right? So there's just got to be a little bit more. All right. Very good. You guys got it. So that is your message. We want to start there. And everything you guys are saying is great. So I obviously have some people who have that experience. You've been making offers, so this is coming together. All right. The next thing that I want you to do is to know your purpose, your message, your audience, your purpose. In this talk that you're giving, what do you want to do for the audience, right? Are you trying to inform them? Are you trying to inspire them, motivate them? Are you trying to train them, right? And if you're trying to inform them, the question becomes, what do you want them to know? What do you want them to know? If you're trying to inspire them, you got to ask, what do you want them to feel? What do you want them to feel by the time they finish talking to you? Maybe you're there to motivate them because you want them to do something, right? Or maybe you're trying to train them, and a lot of you are AI consultants, right? You're trying to train people. So what do you want them to be able to do? So those are some things for you just to think about because they're going to drive your presentation, right? And so that is part of the preparing process, right? You're going to create your map. So the second part of preparing is to organize your message. Man, I went to this key conference, a women's conference, and I was very excited to hear the keynote. And it was earlier in my career, so I just want to pick up information. I just want to learn. So I get there a little bit late, and I go to the front because I like to sit in the front. And I'm surprised that there's so many seats left in the front, but it's okay. And I'm listening to this woman, and I'm having a hard time following her. I don't know. And I'm thinking that maybe I'm being, I don't know, what is that word that I think it's my ego talking. I wouldn't do it that way. I would do it better. So I'm like, pulling my ego down. I said, I need you to chill. I need you to chill, Star. I need you to give this person the benefit of the doubt and learn what you can. But it was hard, people. It was hard. I had to get up. I couldn't even sit in the front anymore. I went to the back of the room. Woo, it was a lot. And I'm standing there and I'm really trying to get it. I'm really trying to get it. And this woman says to me, she's sitting next to me. She's like, this is horrible. I'm like, okay, all right. I just needed the validation. It wasn't me and my ego. It really was horrible. And do you know why? Because there was no organization. Just talking all over the place. Oh my goodness. And I was trying to follow her and she just had me lost and hurt. I was hurt, people. I was hurt. So here's the deal. Please don't do that. Please have some structure to your message. And I'm going to give you the simplest. We're not even going to go there, Corinne, because they do that all the time. So I want to give you something quick and easy. Well, actually, how to organize your message, right? And I got 3 steps for you for organizing your message. Now, look, this might get a little complicated. So I just want you to be ready. I want you to be ready to write. You got a pen, Teresa? You got a notebook, Tavonia? You got something to write with? All right. So 3 parts of your presentation. Here they go. You ready? Beginning, middle, end. That's it. What was that? Was that too fast? That was too. You know what? I'm gonna repeat it. Beginning, middle, and end. And you laugh, right? Renee is like chuckling up there. That's funny. Yes, it's funny and it's simple. But has anybody been in a presentation where there was no beginning, no middle, no end, or one of those was missing? Anybody been in a presentation? Say yes. If you had all the time, all in one, yes, goodness, amazed. See what I'm talking about? It's simple, but not everyone is doing it, right? Like it's common sense, but it's not commonly done. All right. My brain can't handle it. I'm with you, Renee. It makes me crazy. So beginning, middle, and otherwise known as introduction, body, close. Anybody having a flashback to 3rd grade? Anybody? Because that's where they taught us this. And I don't know why. We get older and we think, oh, the rules don't matter. I'm just going to get up there and start talking about any old thing. All right, I'm going to calm down. So organizing your message. Introduction, body, close. Now, where do you start? I like to start with the body. Because I want to know the body is the meat, right? This is the meat of our presentation. It's like if you were planning a dinner, you would probably first figure out what the meat is, or the tofu delight, whatever it is, your main course. You're going to figure that out first, right? If we're having turkey, then we're having turkey. If we're having roast beef, if we're having salmon, right? And then you start saying, well, what goes good with salmon? What are the side dishes that I could have with salmon? I feel it's the same way in our presentations, right? In our presentation. Yes, Corinne says she has a client who just talks. I got clients like that all the time. Yeah, I'm more spontaneous. I can fly by the seat of my pants. I'm better when I'm like that. For you, perhaps. You're not better for the rest of us. All right, I'm gonna back up. So the body is your main course, and then the introduction and the close become your side dishes. And what are the side dishes going to be? Well, it depends on what the main course is. And so the body is the main course, right? So I get a call from Holly. It's 11:30 at night. I get a call from Holly, and I answer the phone, because it's Holly. And Holly is in a panic because Holly has to do a presentation tomorrow. Right? She has to do a presentation the next day, just 5 minutes, but Holly is lost and confused. She's been thinking about this for 3 weeks. She can't figure it out. She got all these ideas, all these things she wants to share, everything that she has learned. Anybody ever feel that way? Like the puzzle pieces. You got all the, Elisa's like, yes, because girl, you got some talent. You got some expertise, some experience. You have learned some things. And you want to share those things, but this is how it feels in your brain. It's just, whoo, just all over the place. And so she didn't know what to do. At first I said, "Big girl, take a breath. Take a breath." Now, she could have signed up for a coaching session with me, but she preferred to call me 11:30 at night. That's okay. Information, just a word to the wise. I don't do that anymore. But anyway, Holly calls me and I'm like, all right, let's back up. What do you think I start with? Message, audience, purpose. That's what I start with. What are you doing this for? So we get that understood. And then I ask Holly, what are the 3 most important things you need your audience to know? But Star, there's so much more. I get it. But girl, you got 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, what are like the 3 kind of most important overall general things that people need to know? And once we got her 3 points, we could work from there, right? So we got 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. That narrows it down. She was like, okay, all right, I can do that. So we get it down to 3 points. Now, for each point, I got a little formula that goes with that, right? For each point, here's my formula, 3 times 3 plus 1. For each point, you want to answer the questions, what is it? Why does it matter? And what do you want me to do about it? Right? Those are the 3 questions that you're going to ask. Just like when I started, my first point was the body. I said what the body was. I talked about why the body was important. And guess what? I am now showing you how to do the body. See how that works? All right. So that's the first thing. What is it? Why is it important? What do you want me to do about it? Or how can I fix it if it's a problem? Okay? And all of these things lead into your offer, right? It's going to lead into your offer. And then you might notice there's a +1. What's the +1, Star? Go ahead, say it. Say it. What's the +1, Star? Say it. Let me hear. Anybody? What? What's the +1? Well, since you asked, since you're asked, I'll tell you what the +1 is. Thank you, Kadeem, and Donna and Renee. So here's the +1. Evidence. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the what, why, and how of what I'm talking about. But how can you prove it? I'm an attorney. So, if you can't prove it, it didn't happen. That's just how I live, right? So what is the evidence? Meaning, is there a demonstration? Are there statistics? But my favorite evidence is a story. Just like I started this with a story. Now, evidence is at the bottom. Does it have to be at the bottom? No. I often like to start with a story. But here's the thing about the stories. You got to have an ending. It's just like I said before, beginning, middle, end. Exactly, Holly's story. That was my evidence. And so I worked with Holly and we did our 3 + 3 + 1. We pulled it together. Then we got our intro, we got our close. Off she went. She calls me the next day after she finished. She's like, oh my God, Star, it was so good. And I got 5 people interested in talking to me about my program. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. And that is what can happen when you are organized, right? All right. So that is your body. The next thing I like to work on is the clothes, right? You got the body. Where are we going? Where are we going? Where we're going. So I like to work on the close. The close for me has 3 parts, right? It's got a summary, it's got a call to action, and it's got last words. That's how we wrap it up. Oh my God. That is how we wrap it up. Now, why do we need a summary? Because you've been talking a while and people need to remember what you were talking about. I know they might take notes or they might not. But if you're making your 3 points, you want to come back so that they remember the most important things you want them to walk away with, right? That is going to be your summary. That's going to be your summary. And next is your call to action. And can I say, people mess this up a lot. Because let us say you get 30 minutes to talk. You know what most people do? So I was going to say you do, but I don't know, y'all. What most people do is they got 30 minutes to talk. They will have 30 minutes of content, if not 45 minutes of content. They will just have all of this content and they will give it, content. And then when their 30 minutes is up, Here's my link. I've got a book. It's all last minute. And by that time, especially if it's live, people have packed up and they're going. And you're like, darn it, I meant to. Because you need to have, they wish they had more time. You've got to build in your call to action into the presentation. So if you have 20, 30 minutes to speak, you only need 20 minutes of content. For me, if I have to speak 30 minutes, I need 25 minutes of content. That's all. And sometimes I got to cut myself back to 17 minutes of content because I do extra stuff. You know, my mouth gets going. But anyway, I only prepare a certain amount of content. All right, now I'm lying. I over prepare. I have way more content than I need. But what I practice is a little part of it. This is what I'm going to do. And I know I do a lot of ad-libbing. Stories will come out of the woodwork. So I gotta have time for that so that I end on time. The worst thing you want to do is not end on time. It is so disrespectful. And if you're a professional speaker, you don't end on time, you don't get called back. That is it. All right, we're moving on. All right, so call to action. Call to action. What is your call to action? You want them to get the book. You want them to buy the course. You want them to schedule a call. You want them to download the freebie. Whatever it is you want them to do, you have to be clear on what it is, and you have to ask them for it. You have to tell them to do it. Tell them to do it. When I was on the circuit, I was doing the training. We had like order forms, like physical ones. Y'all may not remember, but physical order forms. When I went from number 300 to number 1, I learned a few things. One of the things that I learned was I had to tell people, pick up the form, put your name in it, write down the things that I'm not kidding, Elise. I'm not kidding. I would have to say that, and then I'd have to say, leave the form on the table, because people would fill it out, put it in their notebooks, and walk out. That's not helping me. So you have to actually walk people through it and get them to do that. So those are the things you have to do. That's part of your call to action. But hey, you're not always trying to sell something or get something. Sometimes you just want to challenge them. I challenge you to change the way you look at food, right? Maybe if that's your thing, or you may have an action plan. Here are the things you're going to do, right? Or here's your next steps. The next step is to apply for this, do this thing, whatever it is, or maybe it's an appeal. I appeal for you. Don't use plastic straws. Save the turtles. Whatever it is that you want. Whatever it is that you want, you got to put time for it so it's not rushed, but you just got to know what it is. So that's your call to action. From there, you have your last words. And a lot of people will ask me, Star, how do I memorize my presentation? And honestly, I don't want you to memorize your presentation. I want you to know your presentation. There's a difference, right? There's a difference. Like you ask a 5-year-old, do you know the alphabet? Yes. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Excellent. What comes after P? Because they don't know the alphabet, right? They have memorized it. Donna's laughing, but they don't know it. I don't want you to be like that. You're giving your presentation and someone asks a question or there's a kerfuffle and you're like, hi, my name is Star, because you got to go back to the beginning. You don't want that. Anyway, I'm off topic. As far as memorizing, there are 2 things I do want you to memorize: your beginning and your last words. You should not be stumbling over the last words. People have this recency thing. They will remember how you began and they will remember how you end. How you end has to be strong, right? My last words are generally, my name is Star Bobatoon. I'm reminding them of who I am. My name is Star Bobatoon. I invite you to embrace your inner light and be the star that you were born to be. Generally, every time. So what do they remember? My name. Thank you very much. Because you know, when they introduce you, That was 30 minutes ago. That was 45. Anybody ever go to a conference, a person starts talking and you're like, who is this? And then you're like looking in your program, who is this? Because I like them. See, because I had prepared not to like them. That's why I wasn't paying attention. I like this person. Who are they? Right? I usually don't have that feeling when they're bad. Okay, we're moving on. So that is your close, right? So let's talk about the introduction. Now that we know where we're going, we can set up the audience to go there. But you can't do that when you don't know where you're going. So you got to have you've got to do that first. And now that I know where I'm going, I know my offer, I know everything I want, I'm going to set up the beginning of my presentation to lead to what I'm going to talk about, right? So this is your introduction. Your introduction has 3 parts. In my opinion, you've got a connection. You got to make a connection with your audience, because here's what I tell people all the time. We are actually 12 years old inside. We are. Someone gets up and says, here's what you need to do. And we're like, you're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do. You know, there's something inside, Judith, your 12-year-old, right, who is like, you can't tell me what to do. We're not going to do it on the outside. On the outside, we're going to clap nicely because we're grown-ups. But on the inside, who are you telling me what to do? And so we've got to make a connection. Somebody off the street says, tells you what to do. You're like, excuse me, bye-bye. But if your close friend tells you the exact same thing, you might go, You know why? Because you've got a connection. So before you can start blathering, giving all that information, you got to get the people to like you. You got to make a connection so they can feel something, because then they'll listen to you. And next thing is you got to talk about your content. You got to tell them what you're going to tell them, because look, our time is short, especially with social media, right? We're scrolling. If you don't tell me, I need to know before too long if what you're going to say matters to me. I need to know. First, I need to like you. Then I need to know what you're saying is relevant to me. So you got to tell them the content, what we're going to discuss. And then you've got to have that credibility. Again, what gives you the right to tell me what to do? So I'm going to tell you, I got this degree. I got this many years. I've been through it. I went under it. I made all the mistakes. Whatever the credibility is, we've got to do this. Here's where a lot of speakers go wrong. Right? It's not completely wrong, but they could go so much righter, because I made that up. They start with credibility. They want to tell you, hey, I got this degree and I got 20 years doing this and I've done this, blah, blah, blah. And most people do not care, Kadeen. Do you? Most people don't care about all your degrees and blah, blah, blah. Do you know why? Because you haven't made a connection first, right? Y'all go straight to credibility. But here's the deal. Without connection, there's no conversion. What? You got to connect before you can sell. That's what I'm saying. Oh, Dale Carnegie, speak about what you have earned the right to speak about. Exactly. That's where credibility comes in. But I'm asking you, make the connection first. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, we're moving on. So we talked about organizing your message. We had 3 parts: introduction, body, close, beginning, middle, end. So that's organizing, and that takes care of prepare. So remember the 3 things I said were prepare, practice, and perform. So let's talk about practice. You gotta practice. And I believe that practice requires 3 things, right? On, out, and over. That's what it requires. On, out, and over. First of all, get on your feet. Look, if you're about to give a presentation where you're going to be on your feet, guess where you need to be practicing? Anybody? Anybody? On your feet. You need to practice on your feet. You need to stand up. You need to walk around, right? You need to stand up. Be on your feet. Plus, you think differently sitting down than you do standing up. So you can sit down and you can write it all out. Oh, God, that just sounds good when I read it in my head, right? But you stand up and you try to say those words, and you feel like you're all over the place. And then you get a feel, you know what? That's not quite the right word. All right, so on your feet. And then out of your mouth. Can I show you how most people practice? Here. Here's how most people practice. Or if they're on the computer, they practice like this. Right? Right? How many of you do that? That's how you practice. You're like looking at it. Like you're looking at the words. But here's the deal. When you're in front of the audience, that should not be the first time the words come out of your mouth, because those words are going to trip you up. You ever hear a speaker that's tripping up all over their words? It's because it's the first time the words and their mouth have ever met. So they're a little uncomfortable. I'm glad you like that, Denise. Right? It's the first time that they've met. So it's a little uncomfortable. Anybody ever do a, what do you call that? Sounds like first word, tongue twister. Mama got it, right? You did a tongue twister. The first time you do a tongue twister, Sally sells seashells by the seashore, right? Whew. The first time you do it, it is all messed up. But do it 15 times. How's it? It flows out of your mouth like you've been doing it all the time. The same thing with your presentation. You got to practice, and you do it over and over and over again, over and over and over again, on your feet, out of your mouth, over and over again. You got that? Say, I got that, Star. Put it in the chat. I got that. I just want to know that you got that part for your practice. Yes, very good, very good. So here's one of my clients, Catrice Nolan. She was in my 6-month program, right, where we, worked on her presentation. And so working on her presentation, we're on Zoom, and I was like, okay, we did the part where we structure it, we find out her 3 points, we do all of that, we got it all together. I'm like, you go practice, come back, we'll meet again. So she comes back, and I'm like, all right, so let's just have you practice here in front of me. And do you know what she does? She starts reading it silently. I was like, no. I need you to read it out loud. I need you to do it out loud. She's like, out loud? I'm like, yes, out loud. That's how you're going to give the presentation. Am I right? Right. You're going to give it out loud. You need to practice out loud. And she did, and she stumbled. And then we went back and we rewrote some stuff, and we do some things a little differently because of the way the things stumbled out of her mouth. And then we did we did that. And so we're feeling better. And I'm like, all right, let's do it again. She's like, again? Yes, my love. Again. Okay, so can I just say, this is before I came up with the, practice on your feet, out of your mouth, over and over again, because I realized not everyone knew that, right? Yes, we're going to do it again. And so we did it about 5 or 6 times. And at the end of that, I was like, so how do you feel? She's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Yeah, that's why we practice, so that you feel better. So she says, this is what she learned. Writing is very different than speaking. I gained more confidence with the practice and repetition, and she aced her presentation. That's what I'm talking about. You gotta practice. Does that make sense? You gotta practice. All right, so we talked about prepare, we talked about practice. I want to talk to you about perform, right? So look, it's not a speech, it's a performance, right? You have to engage the audience, right? You have 7 seconds to get your audience attention. So you might want to start with a question, a command, an activity, a quote, a statistic, or my favorite. What's my favorite? Anybody know what my favorite is? I'll tell you, it's a story. Because you only have, thank you, Kadeen. You want to start with something that's going to grab their attention, right? Because you've got 7 seconds to make a decision, 7 seconds before they decide whether or not they're going to listen to you. And that was a few years ago. It may be less right now. Oh, my client, Aldana Lewis Fernandez, right? And so she did a presentation, and what I had her do, because it's all about the performance, 10 years an actress, look, it's the performance. So instead of being in the front of the room or on the side when they introduced her, I said, you're going to be in the back of the room. She's in the back of the room. They call her name. Now, she is military, and I told her to put on her dress blues, right? And you march down that aisle, down the middle, like you would if you're in the middle. She marches down there, goes to the side, gets up to the stage and she salutes Eldana Lewis Fernandez, Master Sergeant, U.S. Air Force, retired. Boom, standing ovation. She hasn't even begun her presentation because, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a speech, it's a performance. So here are a couple of tips for you. So, okay, so how will you open your next talk? This is something for you to do on your own, all right? To think about how you will open your next talk. Are you going to do one of these things? I hope so. Here's a couple more tips for you for performances. You want to strike a power pose before you get out there on the stage, right? You stand up, hands on your hips, feet shoulder length width apart, and you just put your chest out. Science shows us, right? Science shows us that that increases your confidence and the way you show up. So do it, baby. Now, if you're in Zoom, as we are, my suggestion is that you sit on the edge of your seat, right? You sit on the edge of your seat. Guess what? Because you have more energy on the edge of your seat than you do back here, right? I could do my whole presentation back here. It would not be the same. Anyway, I like to sit on the edge of my seat. So that's one thing you want to do. You want to have a strong beginning. Strong beginning is so important. A strong beginning is so important. Like I said, people will remember the beginning, they'll remember the end. If you have a strong beginning, people will forgive mess ups in the middle. They will, because people have already decided that they like you. They've already decided that you're competent and that you have something of value. You give that strong beginning, your mess up is, well, you can mess up in the middle and they're not gonna care quite as much. But if you have a weak beginning, they will write you off. I went to a networking event and a woman was speaking and she started off by saying, I'm not a speaker. I'm really nervous. This is not the thing I usually do. Okay, so my bar was neutral. Guess where my bar is now? Thank you. My bar has been lowered. And the thing was, she was pretty good. She was pretty good, but I'm not going to give her pretty good. I'm going to give her average because she made my bar so low. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't do that. Make sure you have a strong beginning. Make sure that there's physical and vocal variety. Oh man, I was on a webinar the other day and the woman has a lot of energy, kind of like me, but she's like, the entire time. She just never took a breath. And I know that there are speakers who do that, but they give me a headache. I just can't. So you want to have quiet moments. You want to have your loud moments, right? You want to have some vocal variety in the emotion, in the talk. You want to have some vocal variety. And then you got to engage your audience. You got to engage your audience. I remember a presentation. We're 20 minutes in, and the speaker says, she asks a question. Guess what she gets back? Crickets. All right. And then she's like, come on, people, this is supposed to be interactive. And I'm like, why are you yelling at me? You're the speaker. Make it interactive. But here's the deal. You can't spend 20 minutes teaching me that my job is to sit quietly and listen and then suddenly expect me to speak up. You can't do that, right? You've got to engage early and you've got to engage often so that the audience knows, oh, we're engaging here, right? I've been asking you questions all along the way for that engagement. Imagine, exactly, Kareem, we're setting the tone. Imagine if I had sat here 20 minutes, yada, 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 yada. And then I'm like, what do you think? Y'all would have been quiet as church mice, although you were still quiet. But you put it in the chat. That's the point. You got to have that engagement. All right. All right. So here's what we talked about. Captivating presentations that convert. I'm giving you 3 steps to more confidence and more clients. And so, I wanted to do this. Somebody put in the chat, what are the 3 things we talked about today? Put in the chat for me. I said that there are 3 steps to more confidence and more clients. I need you to put in the chat for me. I just want to know if you were paying attention at all. Anybody? Anybody? Okay. All right. You got some pieces of it. But there were basically 3 parts of this presentation. There you go, Kadeen. There you go, Donna. You got it. There you go, Joanna. Yeah, very good, very good. So I did say something important. There we go. Prepare, practice, and perform. The 3 Ps. So that is how you give a captivating presentation. I need to know, did you get any value from that? Put in the chat. If you got some value, just say, yes, I got some value. Just say, yes, I want to see it. I want to make sure you got some value in there. Yes, look at that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. And so I got something for you because Mama said you don't come to somebody's house without bringing a gift. So here's my gift for you. It is Captivating Presentations That Convert. It is a guide, a one sheet that's going to pretty much wrap up everything I said today. Everything I said is going to be on one sheet so that you can remember. And so there's the QR code. You can go ahead and get your phones out. Y'all know how this goes. Dadrian has put the link in the chat. You know how this goes. There's your QR code, and you will get that presentation. Now, for those of you who do get the presentation, I believe you have the option of getting on my calendar to get a little help, right? I don't know. Not for all of you. Some of you, you're like, excellent, Star, this is great. Some of you might say, could I get a little hand holding? Excellent. So that's going to be in there. And one more thing that I ask of you, and you've done this before too, if I could get you to give me some feedback, this QR code on talk, and y'all will notice what time it is, right? You notice what time it is. See, I got plenty of time for my call to action. Plenty of time, because it's all scheduled, right? So this is the feedback form that I would want. Does anyone have a question? I could probably take one question at this point. Does anyone have a question for me? Well, you will have my contact information. So in the handout, so you can, if you have a question, you can contact me. Donna says, thanks so much. Thanks for making it plain. That is my favorite thing to do. I want to make it plain, easy, peasy, lemon squeezy. That is what I want. All right. So I'm going to leave you with this story. All right. So here it is. I was at a dinner party. And my friend made amazing meal. It was so good. And as she was getting rid of the dinner dishes, she said, hold on to your fork. Dessert is coming. And can I say, dessert was delicious. It was amazing. It might have been even better than the dinner. I don't know. But dessert was amazing. And so we were so glad that we held on to our forks. But I was thinking, we can use this same philosophy in our everyday lives. When we come up against challenges, obstacles, setbacks, you know what? Hold on to your fork. And what I mean by that is hold on to your determination, your persistence, your faith. Hold on to your goals and your dreams. Hold on to your fork, because better days, better things, better opportunities are coming your way. My name is Star Bobatoon. I invite you to embrace your inner light and to be the star that you were born to be. And I thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Star. Wonderful presentation as always. Thank you everyone for being here, and see you on the next one. Bye.
See you on the next one. Thank you for all the nice comments. Woo, 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 woo. I love it. Thank you. You guys get back to work now. Back to being productive. Thank you. Thank you so much. Excellent. So, Dadrian, can I get a copy of all these?
What's that? The section?
The chat where people are saying nice things.
Yes, ma'am.
That would be fabulous. Of course, I gave them the QR code so they can do that also. All right, I'm gone. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.
All right, bye.